US President Barack Obama is to host a two-day summit with ASEAN leaders on Monday at the Sunnyland Center in California. The meeting's the first of its kind in the United States. Its purpose is partly to reassure Pacific nations that Washington's Pacific pivot strategy will survive Obama's departure from the White House. CCTV's Jessica Stone reports from Rancho Mirage in California.
As President, I have therefore made a deliberate and strategic decision.
It was a 2011 pledge turning U.S. foreign policy towards the Pacific, the Asia pivot. At the time, the American economy was still in recovery. China's GDP growth hovered around 9.2%. 5 years later, as the first self-declared U.S. Pacific president gave his last State of the Union address, U.S. troops had returned to Iraq, stayed in Afghanistan, and American diplomats were focused on Iran and Syria.
There really isn't a sense that it was a fully formed idea to begin with. It sounded much more like, from this side, and also when you talk to people in Europe, this kind of Cold War mentality that if we don't understand something or like it or see it as a threat, we encircle it.
But U.S. President Barack Obama and his diplomats have increased their attendance at regional meetings like the East Asia Summit, APEC, and the ASEAN Summit. Half the promised 2,500 U.S. Marines have now deployed to Darwin, Australia, and the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement involving 5 Asian nations was reached last year. Shahid Massacre is a fellow at the U.S.-Indonesia Society.
I think the region now sends more of U.S. presence in the region than before.
And for U.S. companies operating in the region, that increased presence has translated into profits.
The U.S. government can really help advocate and really help better position U.S. companies to be able to get, how should we say, a fair shot.
But in Southeast Asia, Massacre says nations are still evaluating the strategy's progress.
And how successful has the U.S. rebalance to Asia been, in your view?
Countries in the region are still questioning what is the real result of this strategy. Like I said, symbolically, there have been progress through the presence of the U.S. in the meetings in the region, but in the real life, what have you actually done?
Another question leaders at the US-ASEAN Summit will be asking, will American engagement in the region continue under the next U.S. president? White House officials say that the US-ASEAN strategic partnership is part of a framework designed to outlast Obama. Jessica Stone, CCTV, Rancho Mirage, California.